Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections with Aly. It's your girl. I hope y'all are having an amazing day. I think we're finally getting into some fall weather, but still a wonderful day to be alive and to, just tell everybody that you love them. Because as we know, you never know when your last day may be, but I'm excited about life today. I'm glad we could be here together. You guys know we're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into our interview with Miss Kawana Brackett because we have a lot to talk about because I believe that your vote is your voice. And so we're going to be talking about some things this morning. I want you to like this video, share it with others. But Miss Kawana, how are you today?
Good morning. I am pressing forward on this beautiful Saturday morning or afternoon.
Yes, we like on the cusp. We go from right from morning to right into afternoon. And so since this is your first time with our Banking Connections family, I want to give you an opportunity just to greet our family, tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump on into the interview.
Good. Hello again. Kawana Brackett. I am a native of Columbia, South Carolina. Have been in the Rock Hill community now over 30 years. Attended Winthrop University and never went home. I am married to Reginald Brackett. We have two beautiful children, Regina and Boyd. So they are a big part of why I do what I do. I am currently employed at York Technical College, where I am the department chair for the Business Administration Department. So, my main goal or focus in every aspect of my life is education. Um, so, thank you for this opportunity to kind of spend some time with you today.
Absolutely. Because, I know a lot of times we get caught up in life and we know elections are coming and things like that. And then we say we're going to, seek out the all the candidates, see what they're about. But then sometimes we run out of time and we just like go to the polls and we just like, oh, I didn't even know this person was running, and you check the box, right? But
Mhm.
I like to give people opportunity really to know who they're voting for. And so, and I think one of the ways is by doing interviews like this, asking the questions about, well, why are you running for Rock Hill School Board?
So that is a question I've had an opportunity to answer quite a bit on this journey. Why? Honestly, because I just believe in using my voice, using my influence to help others. As I stated, education is around everything that I do. And in being a parent in the Rock Hill schools, I've had an opportunity to volunteer from a parent perspective in a number of ways. And one of the things that I've noticed is we're missing our voice as parents in making those critical decisions that impact the educational foundation for our kids. So, serving on the Student Improvement Council at my kid's school, being over the Athletic Booster Club, and other numerous areas, I've noticed that when we show up, when we use our voice, when we give our influence, things can be better for our kids. So this opportunity to potentially serve on the school board will give me a chance to do that, I believe, in a much larger capacity, and not only help the kids at one school, but help all the kids in our district, so that those decisions that we make on a district level really help to further their educational opportunities and create that learning environment that allows all students to be successful.
I love it because, that's the thing about it. I'm always a proponent. I think things work when we work together. Teachers, of course, have their perspective that they look from. School board members, they have other things to worry about the teachers don't have to worry about. But then we always got to include the parents and even the students
Hmm.
because sometimes we need to ask them, okay, what's happening? What's the breakdown? What are some things you'd like to see in your school? Maybe other school districts have that we don't have here that we can implement because you want the environment to be one that fosters, inclusiveness, togetherness and really supporting one another along the way. So I love your slogan, bridging the achievement gap by putting students first. Why? What is that slogan about? What does that mean? Like, if somebody read it, we can get our own interpretation, but why is that your slogan?
Well, kind of back to your point here, I'm really thinking about what's best for the kids in every decision that we make. I know that we have to deal with budgets. I know that we have to deal with the challenges that come with operating schools. But every decision, I believe, in order for our kids to be successful, we have to put them at the forefront. They have to be primary and what's best for them. And sometimes, unfortunately, those other things that I mentioned, budget, infrastructure, they kind of overshadow what's needed to help those kids achieve. So that's really why I use that kind of my platform and my focus. The other thing I've noticed too, and especially since COVID, the way in which our kids are able to engage in the learning environment is changing. It's changing very quickly. And I don't know that we've adjusted well enough to kind of help bridge the gaps that are there to help those students transition to the next point. Having the opportunity to work on the higher education level at the local community college here, I've seen so many kids come directly out of high school into the college arena and they struggle because we haven't figured out what are the pieces that connect them to the next level,
Mhm.
whether it's education, whether it's skill training to go directly into the workforce. We haven't connected those dots well enough so those students can transition seamlessly. And I think it's there again because other things kind of overshadow what's needed. So that's really why I've kind of selected as my focus, and I believe that's one of the reasons why I am a good candidate because I see both sides of the equation. I see what needs to happen when kids transition, and I see where the gaps are between them transitioning from high school to the college level, and being able to have that perspective, I think, can help identify ways we can bridge those gaps so that every kid is successful no matter what path they choose to take after they finish high school.
Yeah, and that's a good point because not every student will go directly to college. Some will go into the military. Some will begin in the workforce, and so. But I do believe those steps are important because I can just think about my own transition. I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be like. Had no idea. I just knew that they said this is the next step. Once you graduate from college, these are your options. I mean, high school, these are your options. And so, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to college, continue my education. But nobody prepared me for all the other things that were going to be out there.
Mhm.
Nobody prepared me for budgeting, my monies. Nobody told me that they're going to offer you 15 different credit cards. Do not
Mhm.
take all of them. You can get one, but you don't need all of them. So,
Mhm.
I think we send the kids out and they have all these options and they're just like, well, I don't know. They're all being offered to me. I'm going to take them, da da da. There's so much we don't
Mhm.
know.
And you don't know
So,
what you don't know.
exactly. So, but why is it important for us to have that piece, to prepare them, even if they go into the military or in the workforce, just to know that, hey, you have to show up on time. Your parents aren't going to be there to wake you up and things like that. Why do you think those pieces will help us in the next stage of life?
Well, I think it helps to achieve our economic growth and success in our area. I mean, our communities won't survive if we don't have productive individuals being able to contribute. So we have to teach kids how to be productive individuals. And I know coming up for me, those foundational pieces that was taught in school and taught at home kind of help build that foundation for me. So as I transitioned to adulthood, I understood the basics of how to be a productive contributor to society. And we have to be able to provide that platform for our kids if they're going to survive, if they're going to be able to sustain employment, if they're going to be able to achieve the highest level of education possible for them, in any aspect, those foundational skills are needed. And it takes that partnership between the schools and the families to make that happen. There's no one person that's responsible for producing a productive individual. So we really have to figure out how to make that happen, so that our society can continue to thrive and grow.
And I like your statement that it's not one individual. I mean, because you can be the best parent you can, but you can only do so much, right?
Hmm.
It still really does take a village to be able to support and, to be there because, sometimes the parents are working, but back in the day, Miss Sally was down the street
Hmm.
and she was watching over the neighborhood, and you weren't gonna get away with too much because Miss Sally and your mom were close like that. It was okay for Miss Sally to correct you. It was okay for Miss Sally to sit down and talk to you about your decisions, because we trusted Miss Sally. Now,
Hmm.
of course, you can't trust everybody in those type of situations, but I think on the school boards and different places that are making those decisions, we have to be able to trust those people, right?
Hmm.
And why is that important for us as parents, us as students, to be able to trust you on the school board?
Because it's decisions that your school board make are pivotal. It decides where your kids go to school. It decides the quality of the education. It decides who will be in charge of making those decisions. They decide those things. And if we don't have the right people on the board who have the right focus and the right emphasis, it's going to impact our kids. One of the things that um, we've talked about quite a bit on this journey there again is looking at how can we create a culture of community within the schools so that all kids are successful. And oftentimes when we don't have the right people making the right decisions for the right reasons, there's a large population of our students who struggle, those students who don't have access to resources such as tutoring, such as um, other options for educational paths like private schools or charter schools. Those are the kids that struggle. And oftentimes we um, we rely heavily on those individuals we put in that position to make decisions without knowing who they really are and what they stand for. It's
Mhm.
quite interesting to me, and you mentioned this a few minutes ago. We learn a lot about the candidates that we vote on in larger elections. We get to know them really well. So by the time we go to the ballot box, we've made an informed decision. But for our school board candidates, oftentimes we don't even know who their names are until we go to the polls. What we don't have the opportunity in some cases to do research and really know what they stand for, know what their platforms are. And I think that has created that challenge. Like, how do we know that the people there are make we can trust? So I appreciate opportunities like this and those that we've received along the way to kind of get the message out there. Parents, pay attention. The people that you decide on, or if you choose not to vote, the people you empower to decide, oh, it's going to impact your kids. It's going to impact the educational structure. It's going to impact, what decisions. Prime example, we closed 3 elementary schools. Who is impacted? And do we trust that they made the right decisions for the right reasons? We've empowered them to make those decisions when we don't vote or we don't make an informed vote when we go to the polls.
Exactly. And that was going to be one of my next points. But when you decide not to vote, in essence, you have made a decision.
Hmm.
You're leaving everything up to whoever does go out,
Hmm.
whatever part of the community shows up.
Hmm.
And so, and we're not saying that even anybody who's on the school board are not good people,
Hmm.
but sometimes, they're just not in as many communities as they need to be,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, to continue to make informed decisions.
Hmm.
Like you said, I mean, the 3 schools closed, and Stephanie has been on the show, and she was talking about that as well, Stephanie Hasselrig.
Hmm.
And, you know, you get this information, your school's closed, and now all of a sudden, you're upset. What am I going to do with my kids? Where they're going? How they're going to get there? Now they could be going 10 miles out of your way. So now you're supposed to be at work at this time. Are they going to catch a bus? The bus going to come this way? What time is you know what I'm saying? It really changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the students the teachers at the new school. Is it the same ones from the school that's closing? It's so many things. But if we're in those conversations before the schools close,
Mm-hmm.
then we can give our opinions. We can give our, sometimes we even have, because I'm just saying, just from being a person who works in the office or whatever, we get these decisions, but then, we're the ones doing the work, and we have ideas, and we're like, well, we really should do it like this to make it things much simpler, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you can't just not say that your opinion is not worthy. It may not be implemented, but somewhere it's heard,
Yes.
and it still makes an impact, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, one, we have to. I'm a parent who's an advocator. Um, I'm very involved in my kids' life, and I show up, and I show up, and I try to exercise my vote and my voice so that um, at least they have the information when they're making decisions. And I think that's why having the opportunity to serve on the school board can kind of help, because I can understand, like you said, the importance of including all voices, all perspectives, because there might be something that a parent or a teacher or a student might bring to the table that is a totally new perspective that we just don't
Right.
have at the table at that time, that could make a decision um, that could help everyone to succeed. So, using your voice, accessing all of the key stakeholders, making sure that everybody plays a part in making those tough decisions. I agree with you. It's important and it's necessary. And I also agree. Like I said, I've gotten opportunities to get to know several of the people that are currently on the board now. Great individuals, making decisions with what resources they have at their disposal at the time. But my goal, if I get the opportunity to serve, is again to create that culture of community. So everybody feels comfortable coming to the table and expressing their voice. Teachers, administrators, students, and parents, and other community members as well. Just because I don't have a child in the school won't mean that I won't be impacted by the decisions that are being made by the school board. So we have to get to the point where we're including all those voices.
Exactly. And I like to say that I don't even live in Rock Hill. And I wish I could interview more, candidates, because I just think informed decisions are best. I think it's good to know. And so I'm not even a part of Rock Hill. So, but I think people who are on school boards, because let's face it, our children are so important,
Mm-hmm.
and they are experiencing so many things in life these days. Like you said, even with the COVID situation, being at home, being back in the classroom, then something else pops up and they're back at home. Does everybody have access to Wi-Fi? Does everybody have access to tutoring? Because you might offer tutoring after school, but what if the student, the only way they can get home from school is the bus?
Mm-hmm.
And so they can't stay for tutoring because they've got to get on this bus in order to get home. Maybe they're in high school and they got to wait on their sibling that's coming out of middle school or elementary. There's so many things, and we'll be like, well, we offer tutoring.
And no
Yeah,
one
but is
showed
it
up.
accessible for everyone?
Yeah, yeah. But we
So,
haven't factored in those services. Yeah, so definitely having that voice, I think, is important.
yeah. So yeah, because you got to let people know, yeah, my child does need tutoring. I would love for him to stay for tutoring, but this is the reason he doesn't show up. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we just think, well, they don't show up, they don't care. That's not the reason
Mm-mm.
all the time. So those conversations are so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes, you got to get out of the school, take your school board meeting to a community sometimes.
Yes, yeah,
you
we've had
know?
that conversation too, and even the times that we meet. Now, I've had a opportunity to attend several meetings, and of course, they have it virtual now, so that definitely helps to increase the capacity of reaching more people. But even the time that we meet, if I'm a struggling parent who's trying to work, manage multiple priorities at home, getting home at 5:30. Going to a school board meeting might not be the first priority. It might be feeding my kids, getting them ready for the next day. So sometimes even the time of day can be challenging to incorporate those voices. But not necessarily engaging in those conversations about what's going to be best for everybody sometimes creates those systems where it's not best for everybody to engage and participate.
Right. And we are wise enough to know that we still, as much as we try to do, probably are not going to get everybody. But I think when you offer more than one option, though, you get more people. And sometimes, just throwing out the idea, which you guys have probably thought about, is like you said, the times you have meetings, maybe you have them. The school board just sacrifices a day, and they have it 3 different times during that on that day. You know what I mean? So there are so many things to factor in, but the one thing we have to be is what engaged, right?
Hmm.
So what seat are you actually running for? What office are you actually running for?
So I'm running for seat 4. So our current school board member that's running for reelection in that seat is Robin Owens. Um, and we also have an additional person that's running. His name is Pete Nozzle. So there's 3 of us for that one seat. Um, so when you think about neighborhoods, and they have a map, of course, that helps you kind of determine based on where you live what representative is there for you. I'll be
Mhm.
honest, the map is not the best thing to navigate to kind of help you figure that out. um, it's very small. It's hard to kind of see. You have to look at it electronically to be able to expand it to kind of see if your neighborhood falls in that area.
Right.
If you are not sure where you live and who your representative is, the best way to find out is to go to sevotes.gov. When you go onto that site, they give you the option to look at a sample ballot. On that ballot, it'll tell you what your ward is, and it'll even show you who should show up on your ballot when you go to the polls. So that's available now. You don't have to wait until election day to find that out. So if you don't know who your candidates are, go there, sevotes.gov, look at your sample ballot. Each of the candidates should have a website where you can go and read and view their platform, learn more about the candidates to understand a little bit more about them before making the decision on who to vote for.
Awesome. Listen, even that knowing that website is helpful because again, and I'm guilty. That's why I can talk about it because I have done it before. I've not done my research ahead of time, and I get to the polls, and I'm just like, who is this person? And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, should I vote for this person or should I not? Or and I just be like, oh Lord, just let it be the best decision for the moment. But the Lord is really there for a lot of things. But we could have done our research. We could have asked other people, hey, do you know about this person? Even if you don't have access to internet or don't know how to navigate it as well, ask questions. And it might be a good opportunity. I know we get aggravated with people giving us papers at the poll, whatever. Now, if you know what you're going to do, that's great. But if you don't know, it's still another opportunity right before you go in, just to say, oh, well, tell me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I know there's something going on like Moms to the Polls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell us a little bit about that.
Um, well, there is a strong initiative in the community, and Moms to the Polls is one of the avenues that they're using to encourage parents and community members to exercise their vote and exercise their voice in the voting process. So they're really trying to galvanize support around not only getting people out to vote, but also making sure that we're making informed decisions. 'Cause kind of like you're saying, oftentimes we may go and vote, but we might not do our due diligence before to really learn about the candidates. So they're, trying to put the information out there to the community so you know a little bit more about the candidates and that you know what your options are in regards to voting. Like early voting, that ends today. So if on Tuesday your schedule is not conducive, where you have to work and you're not able to get to the polls on Tuesday, that shouldn't be your excuse why you can't vote. Early voting is definitely a great way. Everybody can participate in that, and the polls are still open today if you haven't had an opportunity to do that. They also try to educate around absentee ballots and what the guidelines are. So if you can't do early voting, if you can't go on the actual election day, what are some additional options to be able to exercise your vote? Because you started it off, every vote matters. That is your voice. And if you don't use your voice, then oftentimes you might end up with candidates that don't have your best interest at heart.
Hmm. And then, you're sacrificing what could be good for your children, for your family, for your community. I'm
Mhm,
just saying, I mean, even I even talk about the census now, whenever it comes around, fill out the census. I know everybody thinks the government's trying to track you and do all this kind of stuff, but it's really so that your community can get the resources it needs.
exactly.
If we thought there was 10,000 people, but we find out there's 30,000 people living in this area, okay, we need to up some hospital beds. We need to, establish some new, I don't know, grocery stores or whatever is needed because all these people are going to this one grocery store. We
Mhm,
need to alleviate some of that. So, all of the things that when we vote and use our voice, is for our community and for our families,
mhm,
not just for today, but what comes tomorrow,
yes.
right? Because how often are midterm elections?
And often, well, midterm elections occur. There's some type of an election that takes place every year. Honestly, it just depends on the seat, the rotation. Because, like currently, for example, with the school board, we have 7 seats, but only 3 are being voted on this time. Um, the next time will be in 2 years, 2024. So that, of course, that gives you an opportunity not to come in with a completely new group of individuals.
Right.
Gives you that rotation that you need so that you can maintain. So, but for every seat in every organization, there's a different timetable
Okay.
of when those votes will take place. But there's typically some type of vote at least every year. Um,
Yeah. I just think it's so important because, I mean, like I said, I've been that person, be like, my vote ain't gonna matter. I'm just one person. But no, I mean, my one, your one, Stephanie's one. Okay, now we're adding some numbers, right?
mhm,
And I think it's so important, and you keep saying it. We have to make sure that every student is represented. Every student, because I mean, let's face it, African Americans have different struggles than Asian Americans or, white Americans. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So if somebody's not representing that part of the community, then that community is never serviced.
yeah,
That community doesn't know what they need to do to get out of struggle. Their
mhm,
community doesn't know where they need to go, where to vote and things like that. So I think I'm really listen. I think everybody needs education, but I think everybody needs opportunities when they, like you said, when they graduate, and needs to know how many opportunities are out there. Because a lot of times then too, you see just what's in your community, and you're like, hmm, what does it matter if I get finish my education or not? It matters.
mhm, mhm. Well, yes, exposure is important. And I this this concept is big in education now, understanding diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So having um, the right voice, the right perspectives, make sure that we create those environments where every demographic, not even just your nationality, but single parent homes,
Yeah.
low income. I mean, there's so many different categories that impact and present challenges for our students, that if we don't have the right people looking at what the challenges are on those different perspectives, we're not going to create a conducive learning environment for all students. So
Mm.
diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, making sure that all of our kids feel like schools are there and designed to support and provide the resources that they need to thrive and to grow and be successful.
Wow. I like that because you never know what somebody feels like when they're in school can be rough sometimes. Sometimes you might be having a problem with a class. Now you could be brilliant in so many other things, but this one class is giving you struggles. And I'm just gonna say, for me and other people I know, but if you get called out in that class, for example, and you don't know the answers, then like your whole school season just is like, oh my God, I'm never going back to school again. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's
Mhm.
so many little different things like that that we think doesn't matter. But I think the fact that you guys are talking about all this stuff even helps the parents, right? Because sometimes, we're just like, it's time to get up and go to school. Get your clothes on. We don't really take time. How important is it for the parents to really talk to their students and really figure out, hey, how is school going? What is life like for you there? What do you like? What do you don't like? How important is that?
I think it's critical. I mean, schools play a big part, but of course, our foundation, our home support system plays a part in making sure that kids feel valued, feel connected, feel appreciated, feel safe. I mean, having a conversation with your kids, knowing what's going on. Because let's be honest, in 2022, the challenges that kids face today are completely different than what we probably would experience when we were coming up. But we
Exactly.
didn't have access to all of the things that they have access and exposure to. So the challenges are different. And we just can't operate from, well, when I was a kid, this is what I had to deal with. And we didn't
Right.
have these conversations and we didn't talk about these things. Well, we didn't have it to talk about.
Right.
Those are not the challenges that we were faced with. So it
Right.
is so important that they have someone who listens to them. They have a safe place where they can be open and honest about what they're experiencing. Because if they don't, it manifests. I know another big topic in our schools is safety. We've seen so much happen within our communities and others where, you know, crime or issues have come into the school. So the schools may not feel like a safe place. Oftentimes, when you really do the research on what happened, that kid was struggling. That kid was dealing with an issue, and no one addressed it. Or we might have missed the warning signs because no one was paying attention to those warning signs. And had we had conversations, had we really talked about what was really going on with those kids, we might have been able to prevent some of the tragedies that we've seen happen.
True.
Bullying, dealing with bullying, dealing with that sense of not belonging because you're
Mhm.
so different than everyone else, or being isolated. Those can lead to or manifest themselves in huge ways if we don't pay attention and we don't have conversations with kids.
And let's face it, the family structure is so a lot different, like you said, from the time we were growing up than it is now. And so, that bullying thing, is real. And people sometimes they don't really mean to be harsh. They just don't understand.
Hmm.
And so, sometimes you might feel different because your family structure is different. But it's so important to let that person know, no, you're just as valuable as
Hmm.
anyone else that's here. Doesn't matter what your family structure looks like. We love your parents. We love you. We want you to be here. We want you to grow and prosper here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes just a smile, a friendly, just something friendly, especially from our teachers, the school board coming into the schools and just saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, how you doing today?" So all of that is important. It
Mm-hmm.
really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we have the parents sometimes who don't feel like they belong. So that's why I say I think it's great that it's inclusive of the parents and the students. Because sometimes you might have a parent that maybe just moved to the city and they
Yes.
don't feel like they belong yet. So when they get there and they see everybody's friendly and welcoming, then it flows down, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I definitely see that. Like I said, I've had an opportunity to volunteer um, for several years since my kids have been in school in some capacity. And I'll tell you, for the past few years, I've had the opportunity to serve on the Athletic Booster Club at South Point High School. And that's afforded me the opportunity to engage in relationships not only with the kids, with the teachers, administrators, but even the parents. And to your point, that gave me an opportunity to spend time with so many different pockets of people and really hear and understand their voice and understand their perspective. And it's so interesting. My kids would complain all the time. Half of their classmates call me mom because I'm there. I'm there when the school opens. I'm there when the school closes. I'm there on the weekends. They see me. I'm cheering them on. I know their names. I know their stories. I pay attention. And that little bit, you think you're not doing a lot, and you think no one notices, but you can. It makes such a huge difference in the lives of the kids as well as the parents. I've established some great relationships with the parents and teachers just by showing up, by being present. So
Right.
you're exactly right. You don't know what impact you can have um, by just showing up, by being a part, and engaging all different types of people. Um,
Yes, yes, yes. Because we are all gems. God didn't make any mistakes when He made any of us. And
mhm,
so, I think every person, is special in their own way. And you never know what you might learn from somebody.
mhm, mhm,
You never know. I think even like I see parents when they get together, sometimes they're like, they can help and support one another. I'm a single parent too. You're a single parent. Oh, well, let's work together. Because I saw that. I don't have any biological children, but I've helped raise some children along the way.
mhm,
And so my schedule sometimes might shift because the company I work for, but because there were a couple of parents that I trusted. I don't send my child out with anybody. I tell you that. You better know who you're sending your children with. Again, do your research. But when my schedule would shift, I could trust that this person or this person, it would only be a couple, would step in, whether it was even getting Omar to the game and then I would be there, to cheer him on and take him home, but I wouldn't have to worry about, him beforehand or whatever. So, sometimes, it's about even the parents coming together, come to those PTA meetings. You never know, you know, how you might be able to be a support to another parent. So I love it.
yeah, that sense of community. That's what it is. I mean, I back to your point earlier when growing up as a kid, my mom was a single parent. She was one of 14. My grandparents were a huge part of the success, but not only them, everyone along the street of Columbia College Drive that knew my family because we all looked alike. They knew I was one of the board kids. They didn't know which one, who I belonged
Right.
to, but they always had my back. So nowhere I could go nowhere and not find support. There was always somebody there that could step up and support because of that sense of community and that connection.
Yeah,
And that support made a difference and opened up doors that I probably would never have had access to had it just been left up to me and my mom to figure it out.
exactly. And I just I don't know. My mind just goes to thinking. I'm like, sometimes maybe parents could come and volunteer. And I don't know, create some more. I don't know. I just think there's always needs to be more outside of school activities simply because when kids don't have anywhere to go and people don't have eyes on them, I just it bothers me so much when kids get missing and things like that. And like, I know communities are different. I know people are different. Again, you have to do the research. Make sure you hear what I'm saying in between these stories. You have to do your research on who you put in place and who you trust with your children. But again, I think about one time when I was probably in middle school, and there was this van, circling the community. People got on the phone and they were saying, okay, hey, where are your kids at? What time do they go to the stop? Okay, I'm going to be out there at this time. Can you take over? Because we want to make sure our kids were safe. And I think we don't have a lot of that, taking care of one another, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why I keep going to that. But anyway.
Was that's a critical piece. That's what made our communities survive and thrive,
Yeah.
because it was a partnership.
And we definitely want our students to know that they belong and that they are able to do whatever they want to do. Because back in the day, there were only certain opportunities it seemed that were available for us. But
Mm-hmm.
now, honestly, there are so many opportunities. There's so many different ways to get to, that vision that you have in your mind. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to go into the military and become the highest ranked military person, if you want to be an airplane pilot, I mean, it's the world really is available to you, and I think we have to tell that to our community and just emphasize it over and over and over. I know what it might look like, but let me tell you what the options are. Let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you how you might have to work, do it a little differently, but you can get there, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna run for something. No, I'm not. I'm going to support the people who are running because I think it's important. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you being willing to be the voice. I appreciate you being willing to, you know, um, be in the community and to, hear all these things and then take it back to the table. So, I'm wishing you the very best with your election. I know, like you said, early voting ends today. So make sure, if you haven't voted yet, it's a Saturday. Find out when the polls close. I think around here it's like 5 o'clock or something. But
Yes.
just check, make sure, because you got plenty of time to make it out today.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people try to do it early because, like you said, you never know what's going to happen on Tuesday. Your car might not start.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might get sick. Somebody, supposed to be off work, but you have to get called into work because somebody else got sick. So I say, go get it over with so you know that you have used your voice and voted.
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna show this quick little video, Kawana out in the neighborhood. We just threw some pictures together of her, out in the neighborhood and on the campaign trail. So, Alan, if you will prep us for video number 3, and this will be Kawana Barrett. Did I say your last name right?
Bracket. Mm-hmm.
Brackett. I was like, that ain't right. Kawana Brackett, and she is running for Rock Hill School Board seat number 4. All right, that's Kawana Brackett. She is running for Rock Hill School Board, seat number 4. Early voting is today, but you still have one opportunity left on Tuesday, November the 8th. And so definitely get out and vote. And, because your voice is important and your vote It's your voice. So, Kawana, what are some other things you might want to share with us that maybe I don't know about you, or something you might want the parents and the voters to know as they head out to the polls?
Um, I think I've shared, of course, family structure. I guess the other thing is just my commitment to education. I said education kind of surrounds everything that I do. I'm a lifelong learner. I've had the opportunity to attend Winthrop University. So I've been in the Rock Hill community since my Winthrop days. Um, Fortunate enough to finish a bachelor's program there in psychology. Um, didn't stop there. Currently hold a master's degree in human resource development. So it really gives me a broader perspective of how to engage and connect with personnel and really bring people together. Lifelong learner again. I went back. Have also a master's in psychology. That
Yes.
really understand people and connect with people. And then I achieved that lifelong goal of obtaining that completing a doctoral program. So I also have a doctorate in organizational leadership. My strength is organizational leadership. I've had the opportunity and a lot of the volunteer opportunities I participate in to create and bring structure to different programs and be able to engage all of the resources that are available to really make things grow and develop. Um, Volunteering at South Point High School has afforded me the opportunity to really use those gifts and talents in a number of ways. And I do believe that's prepared me um, for the opportunity to sit on the school board and be able to transition all of those experiences into that particular avenue and be that voice for all parents.
Yes. I love it. So what I hear is you're qualified to sit at the table. You're qualified to be able to hear what I say and be able to take it back, because I might not say it right, but you be able to understand how hear my heart and then be able to take it back to the table and make it make sense to everybody else. Because sometimes it's in the communication skills, right? We feel
Awesome.
like I didn't really understand what they were saying, so I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. But you're like, no, no, this is what was happening. So I
Yes.
believe that you're somebody who can, take it, take us back to the table with you when decisions are being made. And so I'm gonna run two other commercials real quick. So Alan, we're gonna run the number one and then number two. We have our little system today. We're gonna run the one, number two, and then we're gonna come back and just, we're gonna ask you again to remind us how they can follow you, your website, and all that kind of stuff. If they, just wanna maybe, they've made their decision now, what have you, but still they wanna stay connected with you to figure out, if as you might be the winner sitting at the table, how they can stay in touch with you and continue to share ideas and things like that. So Alan, if you'll run those commercials, and we'll be right back with more with Kawana Brackett.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
This is the peace that you cannot buy. Send me in love that you cannot mix. One is the joy that you cannot waste, and the other one price that you cannot fix. This is the peace that you cannot buy. Finding a way when you cannot see. Man with this system he cannot pray. I need to find relief. But behind my mind it runs. All these thoughts I've
Yay. So the two commercials you were watching, one is from Scentaholics, and she actually makes her own candles. You know, she doesn't just buy them and resell them. She actually makes the different scents and things like that. And another part of that video was sea moss. So she's, on a journey to help us along the way with our weight and things like that. And so sea moss has a lot of great benefits for our health. And so, and I have tasted it. I have had the candles burning. They smell very nice. And I have also tasted the sea moss. To me, it doesn't really have like a bad flavor or bad taste. Doesn't taste like a whole lot, but I know there's a lot of benefits to it. So, sometimes I do juicing and things like that. So I put it in my juice. And so, if you're on that path, then we hear a lot about sea moss right now. And you're just like, I don't want to deal with it. I got somebody for you. She loves doing stuff like that. And I love it because she's a young lady. She's like early 20s, maybe mid 20s. And I just think it's good to see young people doing good things. She went to Elizabeth State University, and so but now she's branching out into the entrepreneur world, and so I decided, hey, I want to help her out because she's doing something good. And so the next video you saw was Stephanie Hasselrig. She has been on the show, and she's also running for a school board, Rock Hill School Board, but Board of Trustees. So she and Kawana are not running for the same seat, but they're both running for Rock Hill School Board. But Stephanie is running for Board of Trustees, and Kawana is running for seat 4. And so, one thing I did want to ask about was we talked about the children transitioning like from high school into college, but are you guys putting anything in place, or is there anything already in place to help the parents with finances to prepare for that and to think about that and educating them on the cost of what it could be and scholarships and things like that? Is that in place?
So there are opportunities. I know several of the schools provide sessions where they do bring in resources to kind of help understand what scholarship opportunities are available, what avenues parents can go about paying for the education for their students. They have in-person as well as virtual sessions that they do. Um, the best way to find out what's available or what's on the schedule for your school is to talk to the guidance counselors, because they usually kind of are the group that push that information out to parents and students.
Mhm.
So I know that we've done a lot of that. And then there's so many different partners in the community. York Technical College being a great partner, they offer sessions all the time. Even if York Tech is not the path you take, there are also sessions and opportunities to learn about paying for college. We have representatives at York Tech that can come out into the community and do workshops and provide information to parents so they know what are the options or paths for students to be able to afford an education.
Yes, because I think that's so important. Because I hear a lot of people say, "Well, we're not gonna be able to send our kids to school," so, and it just breaks my heart because I mean, sometimes kids don't want to go, but then there are some children who do, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just hate it to be um, a deal breaker. They can't go because of the finances, and people think they always just have to come completely out of their pocket. When there are scholarships, there are grants, there are different ways of going about, paying for education. Because another thing I hate for children to go and then they graduate and they come out with
Yeah.
50,000. They're already $50,000 in debt. That's just from the education. Let's not talk about them credit cards they swindle.
Exactly. Yes.
I
Yes.
have a personal story about that.
I think I was on that same path too. You don't know what you don't know, and yeah, it's just it's amazing. But yes, there are so many resources, and I know just being a member of a local sorority here, all of the fraternities and sororities, they give out scholarships, and you'll be amazed about the small number of students who even take advantage of those opportunities to
Wow.
fill out a scholarship application. And that's all it takes. Maybe an essay, but fill out a scholarship application. And all, like I said, all the guidance counselors in those high schools, they get the information. So if you want to go to school, definitely seek them out and say, hey, what's out there, what's available, life scholarship, understanding what it means to qualify for life, and where can you use your life resources and how that can help pay for your education, and what's the difference in the different levels based on the your GPA and how well you did in high school. You might qualify for more money. Understanding those things and being able to stay on top of it is important too. So I've learned the best way to find out from a parent perspective is make sure you attend all of those sessions, IGP meetings with your kids. Ask those questions, because that's one of the ways you can find that out early enough so you can plan and prepare. Um,
Absolutely. And don't be ashamed of where you are. I mean, you don't have to tell all your business. Just ask the questions. Nobody knows if you're sitting on 100,000 or $100,
mhm,
but you're making it better and less stressful on yourself by the more questions you ask and the
mhm,
more education you have. So when it comes to that, see, because everybody tends to wait to senior year. And
mhm,
there's already a lot of stuff that you have to buy senior year, caps and gowns and announcements and pictures and all this kind of stuff. So, it's good. Hey, you can start when you name your child,
mhm.
build an account for education. So it's okay. It's many ways to get there. So just don't be discouraged. That's what I like to end this show with. Don't be discouraged wherever you are, because there's a path to get to where you want to be. For some people, it might take a little bit longer, but guess what? Just keep pressing, keep going, because there's people out there like Kawana who's there for support. And listen to all the things she just named about the sororities and fraternities. I don't even know if we had that back in the day, but listen, she said everybody's not applying, so you might get it just because you're the only one that put in the application. Put in your application, right? So, Kawana, definitely thank you for being with us today. Thank you for all the, information and the nuggets that you shared, because I think it's good for the community and the parents. So, want y'all make sure y'all share this video, tell people. And like I said, it is about whether you vote for her or not, but it's also she's sharing good information, because I believe just in the time we've shared today that even if you don't win, you're still going to be present, right? You're still going to be educated, right?
Yes, yes, I'm here to stay.
So that is her website, bracketforschools.com. And I think we also have an email, kawanabracket@gmail.com. And just tell them how they can follow you on social media if you choose. And like your last word of advice or piece of information before we go.
Yeah, so I am currently on Facebook. I do have the Bracket for Schools Facebook page. You can definitely follow me there. I try to share as much information as possible on there. I am expanding on the other social media platforms, so I don't have an actual tag to share with you for those, but you can definitely find me on Facebook right now. The Bracket for Schools website, you also have access to email address there. It does provide all of the credentials and my platform on that website, so you can do your research in addition to what I've shared today. Um, I thank you for this opportunity again to be able to share my perspective, why I've chosen to run, and why it's important for voters to be informed and utilize their voice in the voting process. So I guess what I leave is, no matter what candidates you choose, make sure that the decisions you make when you go to the poll are informed decisions that take in consideration the voice of all of our children, all of our stakeholders. Because when we do that, we ensure that we have the right people at the right table, making the right decisions at the right time.
Yes, I like that. The right people at the right table, making the right decisions at the right time. Did I get it right? I
Yes.
love it. So listen, y'all. Right after you hit click, click share and like on this video, Get out to the polls if you haven't voted yet. You have until 5 o'clock today. Early voting ends today. And but if you miss it today, there's still your opportunity for Tuesday, November the 8th. Okay, so make sure you know where your poll, maybe you haven't been out there in a while. It's okay. You can find what's the website they can go to as
So
well?
sevotes.gov, and it will also tell you your location of where to go vote if you don't know that as well. All the information is there.
So see, we're trying to, let you know there's no reason for you not to be show up and to use your voice, because trust me, your voice, your vote matters. Even if you don't have children, I don't have children, but I want to make sure that the children in this area have the best representative. I know that, I know what it was like when I was helping, raise my godson and all that stuff. So I still believe in education, and and I really love what she was saying about making sure that the students feel like they belong. And that's so important. So, and for that, I applaud you. I think you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. If you ever need us for anything, reach out to me. You're welcome back on the show anytime. If there's, something you want to promote later on or what have you, or come back for a celebratory interview, we can do it. So we appreciate you. Wish you the best of luck. We'll be checking in with you on the 8th and to find out the results. And you guys know we are making connections with Aly. That's me. We are here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, our email is, Alan, do you have that info at aliciajohnson.com? That's info at ALYSSIA Johnson.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Making Connections with Aly. We're that across the board: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And so we are looking to build our YouTube subscribers. So go check, subscribe on our YouTube page, and Calendly. Thank you. Our Calendly link, calendly.com/making connections TV, if you want to schedule an interview. Now, I have to be honest, this year is pretty much filled up, but that's okay. Don't be discouraged. We're still gonna be here in 2023, so go ahead and go to that link, and we're here for you. But if you need something in between time, we can always do a little special episode. We're here for you. So we got to get out of here. Thank you, Alan, for everything that you do for the station and for this platform, Making Connections TV. So as always, until next time, thank you again, Kawana. Again, we'll be checking in with you next week. But until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everybody. See you, Kawana.
Thank you.